Yo, what's poppin' everybody? Welcome back to Sankofa Senpai. I'm back with another Solo Leveling Season 2 review, and we're jumping straight into Episode 4. Make sure you stay till the end because we've got a lot to talk about, and I'm gonna need y'all to tap into the conversation. Alright, let's get into it. So we start off with Jin-Woo walking out of the Demon Castle portal, and you can tell he's in his head, thinking hard about how he's gonna get that last ingredient to make the holy water of life. But dude realizes if he wants to take on the final boss, he's got to hit higher ranked dungeons to level up faster, which makes sense, right? The only problem is, he's still stuck as an E rank on paper, which means he can't even get into those higher level dungeons. So of course that's when he's like, it's time to get his hunter rank reassessed. The scene cuts to the Korean Hunters Association's evaluation center. Hyun Ki-chul is there with the rest of the guild recruiters. He spots someone and immediately calls up Yoon-ho to let him know Jin-Woo just arrived, which makes sense, right? Ever since the Red Gate incident, Yoon-ho's been pressed to recruit Jin-Woo, so of course he's keeping tabs. And don't forget, even though people are starting to side-eye Jin-Woo, the details about what happened during the Red Gate are still under wraps. Only a few people know the truth about the mystery hunter who saved the survivors, and Yoon-ho's one of them. As Jin-Woo sits in the waiting area, we get a look at the other folks around him. One dude is talking big, saying how even being a D rank is a win. He's like, as long as you don't end up E rank, you're Gucci. But then there's this other guy, looking nervous as hell. He's sitting there praying for at least a C rank. Man's got bills piling up and just wants a chance to get back on track. Maybe even reunite with his ex-wife and daughter. You can tell he's got his whole future riding on this rank. And I don't know man's situation, but I felt myself rooting for him and hoping that he gets the rank he wants. He seems like the type of dude who won't run out for a carton of milk and never return. Anyway, it's Jin-Woo's turn now, and bro walks in calm as ever. Jin-Woo puts his hands on that evaluation orb and the machine starts wilding out. Error signs popping up each time she runs it again, and the evaluator's clueless as to what's going on. Her supervisor pulls up, trying to figure out what's up. But the second he sees that error message, his whole vibe shifts. You can tell he knows Jin-Woo is the real deal. Turns out, when the mana machine throws up an error, it's not because it's broken, it's because it literally can't evaluate him. The machine isn't powerful enough to measure Jin-Woo's level. And when that happens, you already know what it means. An S rank has been born. The 10th S rank out of Korea to be exact. But hold up real quick. How do you even have a mana machine that can't evaluate mana? Like, that's its one job. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed by that. I feel like I wanted to see a clear snapshot of Jin-Woo's power based on what the hunters use to measure strength, not just the levels we see through the system. But hey, maybe that's just me. We then jump over to Jin-chul and Choi Jong-in, you know, the redhead dude who's like the ultimate hunter or something. He's grilling our favorite A ranker, trying to get details about the Red Gate incident. More specifically, he's fishing for info on who the hunter was that saved the survivors. We see Jin-chul low-key hint that he's got someone in mind, which of course is Jin-Woo, but he pretty much leaves it at that. I do want to quickly talk about another part of this convo because it moves the plot forward on a sub-story that's been brewing throughout the series. Specifically, they bring up whether there's been any updates on the winged ant they mentioned back in the last episode during that convo between Jong-in and Hai-in. It sounds like it's undergoing a bunch of scientific tests, and the results are going to take some time. Even though this is solo leveling and all eyes are on Jin-Woo's rise, we still got to pay attention to these hints about the bigger story going on around him. I've been curious about the ants in JeJu Island ever since the series started. The fact that they keep alluding to it, and even went back to it during season 1 for that operation that flopped, makes it clear we're being set up for a full-on JeJu Island arc. And let me tell you, as someone who's only reading up to where each episode ends each week, it's been a different kind of hell trying not to just read ahead. But I'm hyped to see how the arc ties into the bigger story. And on top of that, the fights gotta be insane because they've really sent some of Korea's strongest hunters back there multiple times as an organized unit, and they've still been catching L's. Oh, and the fact that the ants are winged now, that cranks up the tension so much more. They're not just stuck on JeJu Island anymore, and you already know that's setting up for the ants to potentially take the fight to them. Anyway, bit of a tangent there, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how this part of the story shakes out. Alright, so it seems like Jong-in and Jin-chul both catch on to the commotion coming from inside the Korean Hunters Association. We flip back inside and the evaluator is explaining to Jin-Woo that since his mana is unmeasurable, he's got to come back in 3 days so they can use a more advanced mana meter. At the same time, all the lower guilds are buzzing. Everybody's talking about Jin-Woo and his immeasurable power. And then finally we see Jin-Woo and the redhead dude come face to face, and immediately redhead dude clocks it. He looks at Jin-Woo and knows instantly that this guy is an S rank as we get a visual of him assessing Jin-Woo's aura. Jong-in tries to finesse his way into recruiting Jin-Woo, but our boy straight up walks past him without even shaking his hand, just hits him with "I'm sorry." And bro, Jin-Woo is a savage. But I gotta admit something. At this point in the story, I totally get why Jin-Woo wanted to hide his power in the beginning. Like, it made sense for him to move in silence until he knew more about what was going on. Plus, he needed to make sure he could actually protect himself against hunters or monsters that were stronger than him. But what I don't fully get is why he's so cold to people outside his circle. Like, I'm not saying he's gotta be all buddy-buddy with strangers, but the way he acts sometimes, it's mad icy for no reason. Think about it. Jong-in, Yoon-ho, even when he first met Mr. An, mans comes off cold as hell, and I don't really understand why that's his default. Especially when you look at how he treats the people close to him, his mom, his sister, Jin-ho, his sister's friend, and now even Mr. An to some extent. With them, he's clearly still got that wholesomeness, but outside that group, it's like he's intentionally trying to be disrespectful. And honestly, that just makes him even more mysterious and less low-key in my mind. I don't know, am I crazy? Now, right after Jin-Woo dips, leaving no trace behind, we see Yoon-ho pulling up to the entrance. Mans is looking frantic, and you can tell bro rushed over right after getting the call from old dude from the second administration team. I'm guessing he wanted to be the first to throw Jin-Woo a recruitment offer, but honestly, Mans is lucky, cause Jin-Woo probably would have curved him the same way he did Jong-in. So the two guild leaders meet face to face, and Jong-in quickly puts two and two together. He clocks Yoon-ho's panicked vibe and realizes Yoon-ho already knew about Jin-Woo. Not just that, he figures out Jin-Woo must have been the one tied to the whole Red Gate situation. The whole exchange between them goes down without a single word, but it's obvious. They both clocked why the other was there. Now, after all that, we head to the hospital, and Jin-Woo is at his mother's bedside. As he gets up to leave, he promises her that it won't be much longer till he saves her, so you know his sights are still squarely on the holy water of life. Outside the room though, he runs into Jin-Chul. He starts talking about how the surveillance team at the Hunters Association, his squad, isn't just about managing beasts. Their real job is to keep hunters in check, acting as an organized authority to punish those who break the law. But Jin-Woo? He could not care less. Dude's just not interested. As Jin-Woo continues to walk away as bro is still talking, Jin-Chul stops him and says someone's waiting to talk to him. That's when Jin-Woo comes face to face with Chairman Go Gun-hee. And for real, I've been waiting to see more of this guy ever since I started the series. You just know from that sparring match with Jin-Chul back in season 1 that this dude is powerful. And as far as I know, he's the only S rank in the Hunters Association. I can't help but wonder, where does he rank among the other S ranks in Korea? Anyway, they sit down to talk, and the chairman congratulates Jin-Woo on officially becoming an S rank. He explains how the re-evaluation doesn't really matter that much. The mana meter can only break down results within its range, but it straight up can't measure the mana levels of someone who exceeds it. Jin-Woo questions why they even do it, and the chairman explains it's basically a grace period the Hunters Association built into the process. It gives them time to meet with new S ranks before they go off and sign with a guild. He points out that, despite how big the association is, there aren't many hunters as exceptional as Jin-Chul. And most S ranks? They'd rather join a guild for the fame and fortune than stick with an organization like the association. And then old boy cuts to the chase. He tells Jin-Woo that while he can't offer him fame or fortune, he can give him another career path, one with real power. Just like the guild leaders earlier in the episode, the chairman is out here making his pitch, trying to bring Jin-Woo into the fold. Jin-Woo recognizes this as an offer of power and straight up asks why the chairman is going so hard to recruit him. The chairman breaks it down. He talks about how Korea's 5 major guilds have a delicate balance of power right now, but if Jin-Woo were to join one of them, it would throw everything off and cause a massive shift in the playing field. He goes on to admit that governmental authority alone isn't enough to make hunters follow the law, which is why the association exists in the first place. Essentially, he's echoing what Jin-Chul was saying earlier, that magic beasts aren't the only monsters out there. Hunters can be just as dangerous, and the Hunters Association acts as a deterrent. It's clear the chairman is worried about the association's ability to keep hunters in check. Jin-Woo takes a moment to think it over. He definitely sees the benefits and recognizes that the chairman is powerful as hell. But in the end, Jinwoo turns it down. Why? Because mans wants to fight. He's really about that life. And honestly, I figured this is how it was gonna go. Jinwoo's got goals. He's trying to save his mom, get stronger, learn more about the system, and none of that happens if he's not out here grinding and leveling up in these dungeons. We then flip back to America, where we see Dong-soo laid out on a hospital bed. Bandages everywhere. Dude is wrecked. The deputy director rolls up, asking if Il-hwan was actually a magic beast, which just proves Dong-soo was trying to spin the story to justify the fight. And Dong-soo doesn't back down. He flips it, asking the deputy director if Il-hwan looked human to him. From his perspective, Il-hwan seemed more like a beast than anything else. Honestly, considering the state he's in, I kinda get it. As the director leaves, we see Dong-soo reliving the final moments of his battle with Il-hwan, and you can feel the anger bubbling up all over again. This time, he's dead set on heading to Korea, but not before grabbing some gear to make sure he stands a chance the next time they cross paths. Man is persistent. Then we jump back to Jin-Woo, who's browsing high-level gear on what looks like an online auction site. He's trying to gear up for the remaining floors of the Demon Castle, but everything on there is crazy expensive. And honestly, I'm confused. Like, didn't him and Jin-Ho clear 19 gates back to back? Where's all the winnings? Not to mention that 30 billion won Jin-Ho handed him when they first teamed up. Is the treatment for his mom and his sister's tuition that expensive that mans can't afford anything else? But hey, I digress. It looks like Jinwoo starts considering selling some of the items he's earned through the system's dungeons and quest rewards. But even that brings up another problem. How's an E-rank like him gonna explain having gear that high level? Where's he gonna say it came from? It would definitely be less suspicious if he could say it came from a higher rank dungeon he's officially been a part of even as an E-rank. So our boy signs up to be a miner for an A-rank dungeon. Smart move. It lets him join an A-rank raid even with his official E-rank status. The scene shifts back to Jin-chul and the chairman, and they're basically chopping it up about Jin-Woo. They're talking about his rise to power, how he's still holding it down for his mom and sister despite starting as an E-rank, and just how unpredictable he is. I mean, the man literally registered to be a miner for an A-rank dungeon. Who does that? Now we're at the A-rank dungeon gate, and Jin-Woo's rocking the miner's drip. As he gears up, he's running through how these A-rank raids actually work. As the viewer, we're learning too. Raids are super organized. You got strike teams that handle the fighting, mining teams that gather mana crystals, and collectors who haul back the carcasses of dead beasts. It's all about squeezing every bit of profit out of these high-level dungeons. I really like this little breakdown because it shows just how different clearing an A-rank dungeon really is. The earlier dungeon raids we saw, yeah, those were nothing compared to this. Back then, the teams were basically doing everything, fighting, mining, and collecting, all rolled into one. There wasn't any need for specialists. But here, you can really see the gap between the lower ranked gates and the higher ones. Back inside the gate, we see Jong-in again, running the show as the raid leader. And this man, he's different. He absolutely lights up the monsters, leaving them just crisp enough to still be valuable. And bro, Jong-in is a problem. Dude cleared that dungeon wearing a white suit and a cape. Like, for real, everybody else is armored up and he's out here flexing, completely confident in his power to the point where he doesn't need armor at all. We also get a glimpse of Cha Hai-in, aka the dancer. Just last episode, I was questioning her role in the story, and now it feels like those threads are already starting to unravel. Cause listen, our boy Jin-Woo is straight up amazed at how powerful she is. And let's be real, if Jin-Woo, who's a beast himself, is impressed, that says something. One thing I'm dying to know more about though, is why she's so sensitive to the smell of hunters. Like, what's up with that? Why is she so tuned into it that she has to constantly cover her nose? And it's not like she reacts to monsters this way. It's specifically hunters. Or could it just be a reaction to mana in general? I don't know, y'all, but let me know what you think in the comments. Now we head into the dungeon, and you can see the full scale of the operation. Jin-Woo is just standing there, staring off into the depths of the gate, itching to take on the A-rank boss that's still alive. Of course, we get the usual E-rank prejudice. One of the workers tries to act slick, but Jin-Woo claps back with a look so sharp it makes the dude rethink his whole attitude. And even though Jin-Woo isn't fighting right now, he's still tearing it up as a miner. Man's working like he's on a mission. But when the miners head off to lunch, Jin-Woo stays behind and sneaks off toward the gate that leads to the boss. Bro is really fiending for this peak, which, like, I get it, but it feels kinda weird to me. I really thought red gates were higher than A-rank dungeons, and since our boy already bodied a red gate earlier this season, I've been sitting here wondering, what's the big deal with an A rank when compared to a red gate? Like, why is this so exciting to him if he already packed up a whole squad of both ice elves and ice bears? Am I missing something, or is my understanding of red gates just off? Anyway, as Jin-Woo gears up to step into the boss's lair, we see Hae-in show up, forcefully questioning what he's doing there. Twice. And just like that, the episode fades into the outro without us seeing how Jin-Woo finesses his way out of that one. Honestly, this episode was slower than the others, less action, more dialogue, but I wasn't mad at it. If anything, I appreciated the change of pace. Focusing too much on Jinwoo all the time makes it harder to really connect with the other characters in the story. And even though it was slower, I think I liked this one better than last week's episode. It didn't feel as rushed to me. One thing I'm really looking forward to, though, is Il-hwan's inevitable return to Korea. I'm hoping we get to see him and Jinwoo reunite. That interaction? It's going to be interesting to see how they both handle it. And let's not forget about Dong-soo. Yeah, he got folded, but he's still an S rank. I expect him to remain a problem, so I'm curious to see how he switches up his fighting style for the next time he faces Il-hwan, or even Jin-Woo. But I'm just saying, if Dong-soo catches another L, I'm putting him on Frog Watch. Like, bro, we've only seen you take L's so far. But yeah, that's all I got for this one. If you're loving the series as much as I am, hit that like button, subscribe, and smash the notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. Catch you in the next one. Peace.